All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, all glory and honor to Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to my elders and my apostles of Great Millstone, which are the men that rule well and taught us His truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations as always be to the elect. Right, in Lord's will, the title will be the law, the law, the law. Well, what about faith? Now, what you saw in the beginning, man, was IUIC having a discourse with another Israelite, probably one that's not too privy to everything in the scriptures, but they had a discourse about the MOTB. Now, this video isn't about the MOTB, because they didn't even break it down. They try to go with the embargo route, which that doesn't make any sense anyway. Because the brother that had explained it in the beginning of the video, his breakdown was on point. Talking about the MOTB bit. The dude, the dreadhead from IUIC, all right, since he wanted to talk about the law, that's really what I wanted to touch on, because he said they brought out Revelation 21. And I really was supposed to have been made this video. I had talked about this at camp last week. But basically how they brought out Revelation 21, he said the only way to get into the kingdom of heaven is to keep the commandments, right? Now, let's dig a little deeper, because it ain't about, see, with them, they preach the law, when in reality, it's about faith, all right? And when it comes down to the law, statutes, and commandments, man, let's be real. We in captivity. That's all going to be to the best of your ability. You see, we talking about men that are ass backwards. For one, he talking about keeping the law. His hair is breaking the law. His t-shirt garment is breaking the law. The clothing he's wearing is breaking the law. The shape up that all of them have is breaking the law. He want to talk about the law it is, the law that, when in reality, all right, they don't even keep the law. Okay? They keep their Sabbath. Well, there's so much to go into, but, let's be real. All right? They don't keep the law. For one, the law is too spiritual for them. That's why I'm going to grab Romans, the 7th chapter. But according to the scriptures, man, it's about faith, man. All right? The scriptures in the book of James, it says faith without works is dead. All right, so you all the way done for if you think it's all about works. Because that's what they push. They talk the law this, the law that. You know what I'm saying? But they break the law. Wisdom is too high for a fool. Proverbs 15:28. The heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. Right? They're pouring out evil things. All right? And some people may look at it as small, because they're like, oh, they don't got one thing right. Well, that little leaveneth the whole lump, man. You're not teaching your people about one of the most important prophecies that solidifies the end times. Because once the MOTB prophecy takes place, then World War III, then Yahweh Shai comes. Okay? That's how important the MOTB prophecy is. All right? Because once that hour of temptation, all right, happens, then the missiles, are soon to come after, man. Once the hour of temptation takes place, and when the scriptures speak about Yahweh Shai gathering his elect from the four winds, right? What about then? Then what? How? Well, then what's the hour of temptation then? Explain that. Okay? Explain that. Because Yahweh Shai is going to make his second return. Missiles is gonna hit America. But who are the missiles for? Those that took the MOTB and the wicked. All right? Those destined to receive that fire. Okay? So the heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. So these men are pouring out evil things, man, with he talking about the Jake got no understanding. The way that you tap dance around the question lets us know where your mind is at. Why are you going to Revelation 20? Why didn't you just go to where he went and broke it down the way that you're supposed to break it down? Because you don't have an answer to that. You're talking about an embargo. How are you gonna implant an embargo into your hand, into your right hand or your forehead? Talk about he calls it all free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. How is that an embargo? That's not talking about nations. That's talking about people. That's talking about everybody. You see, these men lack, basic, understanding of these things, right? So, and I don't want to touch on the MOTB aspect. I want to touch on the fact that he said to get to the kingdom of heaven, you keep the commandments. Let's touch on that. All right, because I just wanted to quickly touch on that point though, because the way these guys tap dance around questions, man, is ridiculous. So he made a statement that the only way to get to the kingdom is through just keeping the commandments. First off, let's go to Romans 7. Romans 7:14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. See, these men can't fathom that. We're talking about men who use their cars on the Sabbath but won't put gas in it on the Sabbath. That doesn't make sense. What now? We do it to the best of our ability. Man, ain't no difference, man. You're breaking the Sabbath. Yes, it's true. You do things to the best of your ability, but not buying gas. You turning on your car is igniting a flame. The thing that turns on your vehicle is literally called a starter. It's literally igniting the engine on. That's all fire. It's all combustion. You see what I mean? This is the logic of these niggas, man. And I'm going to keep calling them niggas because that's what they are. They're not men of the Lord, man. These dudes is niggas with fringes, man. That's why, and I ain't going to say all of them because some of them is going to come out of that bullshit. All right? But, bruh, how you going to sit there and talk about the Sabbath this, the Sabbath that? Your head is lined up. You got dreadlocks. Your hairdos are against the law, man. You want to talk about the law this, the law that? Bro, y'all all going off. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I'm carnal, sold under sin. So the law goes right over their heads. That's why they can't really actually keep it. The law is too spiritual for them. That's why all of us, all Israel as a whole, we're all breakers of the law. Because the law is something that we cannot keep in this flesh. This flesh was never designed to keep it 100%. The only one that did it was Yahawashi. That's what separated him from everybody else. That's what separated him from us. That's what made him better than us. All right? That's one thing, one aspect. Because really he's, the son of the Most High. Right? But at the end of the day, we wasn't put back on this earth to keep the law 100%. We wasn't put back on this earth to make it to the kingdom by keeping the law. All right? If that was the case, we'd all be through. Most of us wasn't born knowing that we're Israelites. We had to come back into the knowledge. All right? Even when Apostle Paul was bringing back certain Israelites to the fold, he knew that they were doing things because they were living a certain way. He told them to start off small. Refrain from idols and refrain from eating blood. Things with blood in it. Right? These were the things that Apostle Paul said because he knew. You see? But these guys, as soon as you come up into the truth, you got to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments, brother. Your wife not in the truth, you got to leave her, brother. Your husband not in the truth, you got to leave him, sister. That's all breaking the law. You see? These guys don't get it, man. These guys don't get it. The law is too spiritual for them, man. They can't get it. That's why that's the thing. Because the law is spiritual, but we're carnal. These men are so carnal that they misuse the law. They making laws within a law. Like it always gets to me because this Israelites made a video. These hashtag ass Israelites made a video talking about, it's the Sabbath. My gas is on E, but I ain't gonna get no gas because it's the Sabbath. I can't buy nothing. And it's like, man, you're so ass backwards, man. Like, whatever, man. It's best to just, shake your head and keep pushing with these guys, man, because it's madness. The deeper you look into what they're doing, it's madness. The more we hear coming out of the congregation, it's straight insanity and madness. They're a bunch of confused sheep with no shepherd. Their shepherd is not doing a good job. All right? So let's get the aspect of faith. All right? Because these dudes talking about, you can only how do you get to the kingdom of heaven? Keeping the law. Keeping the law. Yahawashi said, he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. But endure how? What are you enduring? Your faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. Romans 3:19. Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law. So you're tying a rope around your neck by proclaiming the law, statutes, and commandments. Talk about, it's all about the law, statutes, and commandments. Well, right here it says to them who are under the law, hey, that pertains all to you. So now you're guilty of all. That's what it's going to say. Salakia kind of jumped the gun, but it don't matter. This ain't about surprises. It's about edification. So it says here that every mouth may be stopped and all the world may become guilty before the before the Most High. So we're all guilty. All of Israel is guilty. So for you to make foolish, unlearned statements like to get to the kingdom of heaven, you have to keep the commandments. It's like, come on, bro. Like, you're not even the main dude saying it's not keeping the commandment. You're breaking the commandments. All right. It says, therefore, by the deeds or the works of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. So you're not finna get on a chariot because you got your fringes on you. I forgot which camp it was that said, I'm not even going to repeat it. It's just foolish statements. You know, these dudes is next level retarded, man. You know, they are retarded. They're slow of heart, man. That's why they can't keep up with the breakdowns we got. You know, it really ain't ours. It's from Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai B'Hashem Rachakadash, man. All right? That's why they can't see that the MOTB is the C-Hip. You know? That's why they can't see that faith first. Then you know, the works come with the faith. They can't see these things, man. They can't. You know? And since they're talking, you know, the kingdom of heaven, do y'all even still believe in the kingdom of heaven being on earth? Because we've been hearing all this heaven and hell shit coming from y'all niggas lately, man. You dumb niggas, you dumb IUIC niggas, man. You know, y'all been, and we gotta say it like that, man, because you can't look at them as Israelites for real, because they out here teaching madness, man. You know, you got ISUPK telling a Israelite he going to hell, but he's good because he's lucky his mother's Brazilian. What are you talking about? You see how stupid and retarded that sounds? That sounds unlearned. And yes, that's an actual thing that happened. We were having camp. This was years ago now. It was by the our old main camp spot. And this dude, it might have been 9th and G, but this dude came up and said, yeah, ISUPK, they mistreated me because my father's German. And mind you, the guy was a straight up Israelite, man. All right? Yeah, he even had, you know, kind of had that biracial, quote unquote, look. But he was clearly an Israelite. You could tell he was an Israelite by his spirit. His mother was from Brazil, like a so-called Afro-Brazilian. You know, she was Asherite, or she could have been Benjamin. It don't matter. Point is, though, that his father was a so-called German man, and his mother was a so-called Brazilian woman. They told him because his father was an Edomite, which his father is clearly not an Edomite because he's clearly an Israelite, right? They said because his father is an Edomite, he's going to go to hell. And his mother... Because of no, they said that, and then they found out his mother was Brazilian, and they said, "You're lucky that your mother's Brazilian." And it's like, what does that even mean? What do you mean by that? Lucky in hell? Who's going to hell? What are you talking about? You see, this is the madness that comes from these other camps. This is what happens when the Spirit of the Lord isn't dealing with you. You confusing people thinking that they're going to hell now. You teaching people that just because their daddy looks like an Edomite, now they're an Edomite. Come on, man. You know, that's why, hey, these niggas need their Bibles taken away, man. You know? It says, you know, let me get back on track, Salakia, but this is the shit that comes from these guys, man. You know? Romans 3:20, therefore by the deeds of the law there shall no flesh be justified in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin, right? Because sin is transgression of the law. But now... Right now, these times, since back then, since Yahweh Shai came on the scene, but now the righteousness of the Most High without the law is manifested or revealed, being witnessed by the law and the prophets, even the righteousness of the Most High, which is by faith of Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference, right? So now there's a righteousness that exists without keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, it's the law of faith. Now, does that mean we don't keep the law? No. Of course, we keep the law to the best of our ability, like it says in the book of 1 Peter's, all right, and the book of James says faith without works is dead. Of course, we're gonna keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. But when you make statements like the only way for you to get to the kingdom, or the way for you to get to the kingdom is by keeping the commandments, that's something that an unlearned person would say. That's somebody who is given a script by Nathaniel, all right, would say. I don't know. I don't want to say that they have a script, but hey, with the way that these dudes act, man, I wouldn't be too far fetched if they had a script given by this nigga, man. All right. So Even the righteousness, verse 22, even the righteousness of the Most High, which is by faith of Yahweh Shai Mashiach, unto all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High. So for you to think you're going to get to the kingdom of heaven because you kept the law, statutes, and commandments, you are a fool. If you think you're going to make it by law, statutes, and commandments alone. No, it don't work like that, man. And I'm going to prove that in 2nd Esdras. But I'm going to finish this out. It says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Hamashiach Yahushai. Right? So for it to even matter that you're keeping the Sabbath to the best of your ability, for you to stop lining up your hair and growing your beard out, for that to even matter, Yahushai had to come on the scene, man. See, that people don't even think about that. For you to even to think that you have repentance, Yahushua had to come on the scene. The Lord ain't accepting no turtle doves, man. He ain't accepting no lambs right now, man. He ain't accepting none of that. No, he's accepting faith in Yahushua. He's accepting you bowing down to his son. That's what he's accepting right now. He's accepting you making your body a living sacrifice and fearing and having faith in his son. That's it. That's how you know these dudes don't got it. The fact that they say Most High Christ bless, that lets you know that they don't fear the Lord and they're not keeping the laws. They're not. They're not. They're a bunch of Christians, man. That's what the fuck they are, man. A bunch of Christians. Not even Israelites, man. They're Christians, man. They're anti-Messiah. That's what the hell they are, man. A bunch of anti-Christ. Okay? Being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Hamashiach Yahushai. Right? So you don't even have access to grace, mercy, forgiveness, none of that if you don't acknowledge Yahushai. We're looking at you, Sakari. We're looking at you, IUIC. Okay? 2nd Esdras 9-7. And everyone that shall be saved, the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven. Revelation 21, right? These dudes is ridiculous, man. They bring that out to tap dance around the MOTB. You know? These dudes is ridiculous, man. It says, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, because that's real salvation. See, salvation isn't just you believing Yahushua and you're saved. No. Salvation is being delivered from the evil to come and receiving a brand new body which does not sin. That is salvation. Okay? The physical manifestation of the kingdom is just the benefit. Is one of the things that's coming. You see, true salvation. So we're not saved until the kingdom is built. No, we'll be saved far before the kingdom is built. Lord's will, we're of the elect. See, that's what these men don't say. These men don't talk about that. Do these men even believe that? What do the scriptures say? The scriptures say that we shall be kings and priests. He made us unto our power kings and priests, and we shall reign on planet Earth, on the earth. Okay, that's Revelation 5, the fifth chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, see, salvation is being delivered from the evil, being delivered from the missiles, Jacob's trouble. That's a part of our salvation. Salvation isn't just like the Christians say. You admit that Yahushua is your, well, they say Jesus. You admit that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior and you're good after you die. No, it's not. That's the thing. Part of salvation for some is not dying. Is never tasting death again. You see, how come they don't talk about none of that? They don't ever mention that. Ever. I ain't never heard it. You know what I'm saying? They might have maybe here and there every blue moon. They don't talk about salvation like how we do, man. They don't talk like something big is coming. That's the thing. They can't. They can't. Because if you talk about the missiles, you talk about World War III, you have to talk about what the MOTB truly is. Because they all go together. That's why you don't ever hear them talking about Yahushua's second return. Ever. They're not prophets. They're not prophesying. They just cursing at Edomites and the nigger woman. You see what I'm saying? Verse 8. 2nd Esdras 9-8. No, I'm going to start at 7 again, man. Everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. Right? Because those works, a part of that works is the faith, man. You see? Part of that faith, Salakia, part of those works is having the faith. See? Like the elders here always say, man, that our first unwritten rule, so to speak, is really to have faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. What's the first commandment? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's essentially like the Lord saying, only have faith in him. All right? Because what does it say? To not make any graven images and bow yourself down to worship those things. We're supposed to have faith It was always about faith. You know what I'm saying? That's why these men are so low level and unskilled, because it was always about faith from the very beginning. I had made a lesson this video this week about how Abraham's walk mirrors the walk that we have today. When you look at Abraham's walk, it was never about law, statutes, and commandments. It was always about faith. You know, it was never, well, Abraham ain't circumcised, so why would I give him the kingdom? That was never said. That was never said. It was always a situation where we were unclean and became clean. But these men, that's the thing, man. The law is spiritual, but these men are carnal. They don't get that. You see? They don't get that, man. Wisdom is too high for a fool. See, they don't get the real substance of the scriptures like we do. You know, and that's not to boast, man. That's just to say the Lord ain't dealing with them like how he's dealing with the men that have the Holy Spirit. Lords will be the elect, man. Okay? See, these men, they can't perceive, they can't fathom that. They can't see that. They can't look at the fact that Abraham was in a state of coming up in a house of idolatry. But then what? Later believing and knowing in Yahweh, like his forefathers. See, that's the thing, man. The story of our story is just repeating itself all over again. All right? It's us getting lost in our captivity, the Lord reminding us, and then we walk back to the promised land. That's all it is, all over again. Happened with Abraham. It happened with us as the nation of Israel. You see what I mean? Like, it's too spiritual for them. They can't look at it like that. You know, these guys are a bunch of American, man. They're a bunch of American Christians. Like how Esau thinks if Jesus was on earth right now, he'd want to eat a piece of cornbread and watch NASCAR. That's how they look at Yahweh Shai, man. They look at him like just any other Jake. If they even look at him like that, if they even really even believe in Yahweh Shai, they don't acknowledge him. You know, that's how ISUPK probably looks at the Lord, man. They probably just look at him like how they look at any other Judite, man. Oh, he definitely gonna drink Hennessy and eat fried chicken and cornbread with it. Like, bruh, no, this is too high for y'all. You know, they not looking at the spiritual aspect of anything. You see? And not to get off track, you know, these are just, it's irksome to see these men teaching when you just know they shouldn't be teaching, man. This is high level works, man. The scriptures is too much for them, man. You know, you just look at them and know they're American, man. You look at them and say, yo, your credence ain't with Israel, the true Israelites. Your credence ain't with Yahweh Shai. Your credence is with Esau. Bunch of treasonous niggas. All right, verse 8. Everyone, well, I'm gonna read the ending of 7. Whereby ye have believed shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders. For I have sanctified them for me. I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Right? Because what really, it's all a matter of predestination, man. Those that's gonna be delivered from what's to come, they were, the scriptures say, Salakia, from the beginning, man, you know, you know, this faith was with the elect from the beginning, man. It's all about predestination. You know, it was never about the fact that, you know, you were circumcised on the 7th day and you kept the law, you know, and all this stuff. No, man, it was never about that. It was about your faith. It was about, you know, really, you know, you were chosen from the very beginning. You see? But what? The law, statutes, and commandments, you keeping them 100%. First off, that's not going to happen. Second thing, it ain't about keeping the law, statutes, and commandments 100%, because you can't do it. It's about faith in Yahweh Shai and showing forth that faith through your works. Okay? These guys always overlook the most important aspects of this thing. You know, the most important aspect being what? Belief, faith in Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. They don't even call on those names. That's how we know they're unfaithful men. All right. So, hey, that's all I wanted to bring out, man. I kind of rambled a little bit, you know, just to, you know, had to mention those things, man, with these guys. Hey, we got to warn our brothers, man, about these men. We got to warn the sincere believers, man, those women that are out there that believe, man. There's single women right now that's probably getting tied up with those niggas, man. You know, and eventually those women, if they're of the elect, the Lord's going to off those men and give those women to a righteous man. You see? That's the thing, man. It happened with David, man. I forgot the her name. It might have been Abigail. Where the Lord, I remember the Lord, he killed Nabal and gave his wife to David. You see? Which Nabal means fool. See, those things are going to happen in these times, man. Wicked ass Israelites with righteous women, the Lord will kill that wicked nigga and give that woman to a man of the Lord, man. That's the right way for it. That's how it's supposed to go. You ain't supposed to just get up and leave your spouse, but that's the shit these guys teach. That's why we got to warn people, man. This is the shit that they're doing over there. Mark them which cause division, the scriptures say. Most importantly, because that's about giving offense. It ain't nothing personal. They're just giving offense to the hopeful elect, man. They're teaching nothing but stumbling blocks. Okay? So, that's all I wanted to bring out, though. Lord's will, you were edified. I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Shem Yahushai, Bahashem, Chakadash, double honors to my elders, my apostles of Great Millstone, which are the men that rule well and taught us his truth, peace, blessings, and salutations.